Picture this. You have a killer gaming PC or console, you spend good money on it, and all you can do is look at it from across the room because you are completely exhausted after coming home from work. How about this? You are deep into a boss fight, right? Going toe to toe with it, but your toddler walks into the room and suddenly the game doesn't matter anymore. Now, if either of these things sound relatable, stick around. This video is about how gaming changes in your 30s, especially after becoming a parent, and how I have learned to adapt instead of giving it up altogether. There's a popular adage about gaming. It goes something like this. As a kid, you have time but no money. As a student, you have limited time and limited money. And as an adult, you have money but no energy. Now, the thing is, I was never someone who could play video games for 8 or 10 hours straight. I just couldn't. Even when I was a kid or in college, or even as someone with a day job, I just couldn't do it. My natural limit has always been 2 hours. Anything more than that, and I'd burn out. This habit has stuck with me for pretty much my entire life. After I entered the workforce after college, I still found 2 hours to be the sweet spot. So I would play like a couple of hours, right? But that's it, hard stop. I would then take a break for a couple of hours and then jump back in if I had the time. And looking back, this is probably the reason why gaming never felt like a chore to me. I mean, it made sure gaming was fun for me even after I started working full time. Before the pandemic, I didn't have a remote job, so I'd get home after a long day at work, completely exhausted, right? Sometimes it was hard to focus on story-rich games, but I never tried to power through it, so to speak. See, I'm one of those who reads every subtitle out there. I listen to every audio log. I pay attention to the collectibles. You know what I'm saying? Like if I can't pay attention, I just won't play. Like what's the point, right? To be honest, those 1 or 2 hours of gaming actually helped me survive a lot of terrible jobs I probably would have quit otherwise. Like, even if it was for a couple of hours, I could just escape into another world and reset after a rough day. One thing that changed the game for me was remote jobs. Oh my god, they were a lifesaver, man. I worked flexible hours, saved time and energy from not having to commute, and if I wrapped up early, I could jam an extra hour of gaming. Remote work is a godsend, guys. So, what I'm trying to say is setting clear boundaries and sticking to them made me appreciate not just gaming but life in general. This system, or whatever you want to call it, has worked for me for pretty much my whole life. Because I had this hard stop at 2 hours, I could explore other hobbies, like reading or working out or whatever. But still, I wasn't ready for what was next in store when I became a dad in 2024. Hey, that rhymes. I became a dad in 2024 and it completely changed my approach to video games. Parenthood threw my gaming routine off a cliff, man. It's a 24/7 thing, right? There are no off days. You are just always on. Babies don't sleep on a schedule, right? So you're up all night and then you got work the next day. I was running on fumes, man. Gaming was the last thing on my mind. It stopped being something I could just do whenever. Here's what I didn't expect, okay? Gaming started to feel wrong, I guess. I started feeling guilty. Like maybe I wasn't being there for my kid. Like I wasn't giving her enough time. Nobody was making me feel this way, right? Like it was all in my head. But I couldn't let go of this weird guilt inside of me. So whenever I would sit down to play, something would always come up. The baby's crying, or Slack messages from work, or the baby just crawls into the room. You name it. I don't know how many hours I must have logged at just the pause menus. It broke immersion, sure, but eventually I just learned to roll with it. Like I would finally sit down for some Elden Ring, right? Controller in hand, headphones on. 30 seconds into a boss fight, I hear my baby crying from the other room. And bam, just like that. Boss fight abandoned. I also had to keep an eye out for when my kid would crawl up into my room. I couldn't let them stare at the big TV screen, right? It's not good for them at this age. I don't want my baby's brain to be stimulated by those flashing lights and those gaming visuals. So I would just turn the TV off mid session. Super, super annoying, yeah, but what you gonna do?
You just adapt, right? It took me a while to figure this out, but this wasn't going away. I couldn't fight this. I just had to find a way to fit gaming into this new reality. As the weeks went by and my kids started developing some sort of sleep patterns, I was finally able to find some sort of wiggle room. I had to move a lot of stuff around. Sleepless here, optimize work there, just to find a window for gaming. Usually around 9 to 11 p.m. after my kid went to bed for the night. At first, I was trying to optimize every single minute, like sleep schedules, work breaks, gaming windows. I was constantly doing some sort of math. It was exhausting, and honestly, I had to let that go. If I couldn't play for a few days, whatever man, life happens. What I didn't expect was this whole situation made me appreciate gaming way more than I used to. Every session felt like I earned it. Every game I completed felt like a genuine achievement. Slowly but surely, I was able to focus enough to play and finish games. Here's my Steam recap from 2024. I played 21 games and I finished about a dozen of them. Not bad. The pre-gamer dad version of me would have been disappointed by these numbers. But you know what? Those are a dozen experiences I never thought I would get. So that's a win in my book. And here's my Steam recap 2025. I beat double the amount of games that I did in 2024. So hey, the system worked, right? I also had to rethink my hardware setup. The Steam Deck was a godsend. There were these short windows when my kid was asleep and I was keeping an ear out. The Steam Deck was perfect for those kind of situations. So if I can't commit to sitting in front of the TV or my PC, I would just pick up my deck and play a visual novel like AI Somnium Files or one of those turn-based monster catching games like Coromon or Nexomon or Monster Sanctuary. And the best part about this is I could just drop it instantly if I needed to. Another thing I started using a lot was guides and tutorials. I used to be proud of discovering everything on my own or figuring stuff on my own, but now it's like if a guide saves me 30 minutes of wandering around aimlessly, that's 30 more minutes I'll actually get to play more. So at this stage of my life, I'll take it. I always used to think that once you grow up or take on real responsibilities, gaming would just disappear or be forgotten or something. But what I've realized in my 30s and especially after becoming a parent is that gaming doesn't disappear. It just fits differently in my life. And once I made peace with that, it stopped feeling like I was losing it. If you're in your 30s working full time, maybe raising kids, and you feel like gaming is slowly drifting away from you, just know that you are not alone. Gaming in my 30s isn't what it used to be. I don't play as much, but when I do play, it matters a lot more. And yeah, I have made my peace with that. I would love to know what gaming looks like in your life right now. After work, after kids, after everything else. Let me know in the comments.